Hello and welcome to LMM, and it's now your favourite time of the month. That's right, it's What's Broken Now. So I'll start off with the obvious question, and that's, where is our fearless leader? Well, he's done bugger all this month, so I've kidnapped this vehicle and we've all taken control. This is our hostage, and you might get to see a little bit of this later on. But first off, let's go and see Trev, who's unfortunately fallen out with his current piece of French shod which he's got for lemons, and he's become the proud new owner of a new vehicle.
Hello everybody, it is me, it is Trev once again, and you may recognise this place because this is where we started Lemons last year. Don't get too excited, it's not Lemons just yet, but I kind of fell out of love with the Citroen, so I bought a complete new Pride and Joy. Alright, come on, let's have a closer look at it. This, everybody, Kia Pride, the LX, and yeah, it's a Kia Pride. I don't know really what else to say. For me, more interesting than the Citroen. For you, you probably think, why has he bought that? Because he's got a Micra. And I can't really explain it, but I've actually always wanted one. These are getting very rare to see on the roads these days. And this one's in pretty good condition. Shall we have a bit of a closer look around? It wouldn't be an LMM car. It didn't have a little bit of rust, and I did kind of feel a bit left out because everyone else has got something that they need to work on. Not to keep it, because if we keep it, this will probably disintegrate next winter. So my intentions is to try and remove as much rust from this vehicle, to try and keep it going for maybe another 5, hopefully 10 years. It would be nice to try and keep it on the road, if possible.
Hello and welcome to the interior of my new Pride and Joy. Yes, this is what the interior of a 1998 Kia Pride looks like. It's, I wouldn't say it's really Spartan actually. Actually, it's reasonably well equipped. We've got electric windows, fog lights, heated rear windscreen wiper, and if you remember in the 90s with little cars you didn't always get that. And the typical sort of other stuff. Nice shelves and pockets and more pockets down here, and there's a glove box and many vents. The one newest item in this car is this very nice head unit that has things like DAB and FLAC. So if you know what those are, then you're probably a nerd like me. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's actually very easy to drive. The clutch is probably one of the lightest clutches I've ever used, and even considering it's got no power steering, it's really easy to steer and manoeuvre, and it's quite easy to sort of shift in and out of gears. The one strange thing is the reverse is a real long pull down, whereas any of the forward gears are quite short. Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with the interior. We've got these nice seats that are reasonably plush as well. So I think for Lemons, I think I'm going to win in the comfort zone.
You know, tyres are really good when they come with font that is very similar to Ravi Italic, or maybe Comic Sans. I'll let you guys decide, but only the most premium ditch finders on this vehicle. And we have the engine bay. I have no idea about any of the information about this engine. The guy selling it to us thought it was a 1600, but everything else tells us it's a 1.3, which I'm more inclined to go with. It is quite torquey though, probably because the car weighs nothing. So yeah, it moves and goes quite well. There is a nice battery holder here. This is MOT compliant, 100%. And we also have some cable ties further down in the engine bay, and yeah, so it's been loved. Actually, hold on, what's this? Oh, there's a cable tie holding in the O2 sensor here. Oh, this car is full of wonders, but it's a nice engine bay, lots of room, and it's much like the Micra. I can get my hands in everywhere.
I, for one, prefer the Kia so much more than the Citroen, it is unreal. and it might actually be quicker than the Moggy, unlike the Citroen, which I'm pretty sure had a 0 to 60 measured in calendar months. But on the subject of Lemon's cars, Morgan has been doing an awful lot of work on the Fiat, and he really needs to because Lemons is fast approaching and, well, it's still currently in bits.
So as you can imagine, I've had my work cut out working on the Fiat. The first thing I did after I moved the engine was clean it. I've removed the flywheel and that will need re-skimming. That clutch has been on there for a while and has left a lot of material that will need to be cleaned at some point. After removing the flywheel, I had a good look at the rear main seal, and that looked also in decent nick. I really gave the engine a good scrub, cleaned it all down, made it look a lot better. I removed a lot of the accessories to really sort of peel it away, all that grime, all that dirt, so I can really see what I've got, as it were. One thing I will need is I will need lots of new seals, gaskets, all that jazz. That will all need replacing, but the head of the engine is going to stay on. I don't want to like open it up and then find out that I need to get some stretch bolts or anything like that. Yes, I'm going to need a new fuel pump, thermostat and thermostat housing, because that literally just crumbled away in my hands as I took it off. Not good. I will also need to rebuild the carb. I'll get a carb rebuild kit and get that all sorted and up to scratch, so the carb will be basically brand new. So after I cleaned the engine, I really wanted to get down to the bones of the chassis, as it were. So I cleaned up the whole chassis, the front boot, the rear boot, really cleaned it up to sort of see just how bad everything is within the car, as it were. Luckily, no massive or hideous disasters. I then attacked the interior. I cleaned up the rear sort of shelf, as it were, that's behind you, cleaned it up. That came out really nice. I then attacked the dashboard, the main dashboard. So I'm happy with all of that. One thing I am a little bit worried about is the switch gear is all a bit sticky. Not as in like that kind of sticky, but the buttons don't go in and out very easily. So it might be a case of pulling them all apart and just sort of like just giving them a little bit of grease and oil or something just to get them going again. So we'll get to that later though, because at the moment getting the engine running in the car is much more of a higher priority. The next thing to come out of the interior was the carpet. It was disgusting. Some rodents had been living in the car for sure, and you could definitely aroma of piss in the car. So got that all out. Luckily, I've got a second carpet which came with the car. So I managed to borrow Trev's amazing wet vac, cleaned it all up. So that's all ready to go back in the car as and when I'm finished with doing all of that. Other small bits that I did around the car was I removed the engine bay insulation on the firewall. It was all peeling away, looked pretty bad. I've also heard that water can get into the foam on the back, and then that sort of insulation material just holds the water, and then your whole firewall just disintegrates. Luckily, my car, no issues there at all. Happy to report. So I removed the sound deadening from the car. For one, it smelled of piss from the previous animals that lived in my car. And for two, I wanted to strip it all back to make sure there was no rust forming. There are a couple of small dots of rust, very much minimal surface rust in the interior. So I need to strip that all down, paint that all in Rust-Oleum, then I can put new sound deadening in, and then the new carpet can go in. Then it will look ace. I managed to find a big enough bolt extractor kit. I think it was a 22mm that got it in the end for my locking wheel nuts, which were fitted on the driver's side of the car. So now I can finally get the wheels off, which then gives me access to getting the running gear off and getting me a chance to attack the wheel arches properly. So the running gear. With the car, I got a full set of running gear, which is actually in very good condition. So I undid it all. It was all together, as it were. I undid it all, and I've stripped it down so that it's ready for painting. I don't have the paint yet, but hopefully that'll be next what's broken now. So the plan with a spare set of running gear is to strip it all down, paint it properly, give it a proper coat of protection, and also I want to have fresh seals in the calipers. I'm going to rebuild the calipers and paint them all up so they look good. I also need to redo the brake lines in the car. Not all of them, just the final ones that go into the wheel arches, because they've corroded to a point that they need replacing. And I'll also get braided brake lines as well. Onto the wheel arches. So what I had to do here, I had to strip down the old protective coating that they'd put on the car originally that hadn't been doing its job well enough, because clearly there was rust poking out underneath. But not in the whole wheel arch. A lot of the wheel arch was actually quite good, so I left that alone. If it hasn't rusted by now, it's a very good chance it probably won't in the next 10 years. So I left that alone, didn't touch it, didn't want to give me extra work to do, but also if it's looking good, there's no real reason to really dig into those areas. But I did dig into the main area that was infected with rust. What I had to do, I had to get the grinder with the knotted wheel. I had to first go over that. Then all the smaller, more intricate areas, I had to use my finger sander. And then on top of that, I had to then go over and use my drill attachments on top of that as well to get into all the small nooks and crannies. The next process was to paint it in Rust-Oleum anti-rust paint. This is the stuff that Lawrie uses for all his tractors to stop them from disappearing or disintegrating. Even more crucial for my car, as the metal on my car is of such poor quality, and these Fiat X19s are just known for disintegrating. What really needs to happen is the whole car needs to be dipped in this paint to give it any hope that it will last at all in the future. After the Rust-Oleum anti-rust paint had dried, I then used Hammerite wax oil, it's a paint designed to be an undercoating for the car. It's got a bit of like rubbery material to it, so any stones that flick onto it, it won't chip off or anything like that. It also helps prevent sort of air or moisture to getting to the metal on top of the Rust-Oleum paint to help, hopefully, to stop the car from rusting away. When I finally do get my Fiat back on the road, I would say there's a very slim to almost zero chance I will ever drive it in the rain, for the fear of me just coming home with just holding the steering wheel one day.
So absolutely massive progress on the Fiat. Well, you say massive progress. It's still nowhere closer to driving, but at least some of the rust's been treated, and at least it genuinely is getting there. It's so good to see something being properly restored as well, instead of just kind of all the important bits slapped together and the rest of it just kind of left. Like I did with the Celica. I left that as kind of a wreck, whereas Morgan's actually treating this fairly well. Speaking of things I've been up to, well, just why have I borrowed the NX? Well, there's something which has always bugged me about this car since it was owned, and I think it's about time it finally gets looked at. So, as long as Lawrie's had the NX, this door has been, well, absolutely terrible. In fact, the paint on this, I can't describe just how bad it makes the car look overall. I mean, its aesthetics do that anyway, but this isn't really helping the situation. While I have it from him, though, I've noticed something, and we're going to do some investigation, because I don't think this is paint damage. I think this is residue from glue. You see, judging by this top corner, I think this has had something big stuck over it for a while, and this is the remnants we're seeing. So I've got a test I'm going to run just to go through that, and we'll see if my theory holds out. So my theory is as such with this top corner. This seems to be a surface layer, and so what I've got here is some compound, a polishing pad. If I compound this tiny little section up here, we should be able to tell whether that is clear coat or base coat. Clear coat won't leave any residue on this, but base coat will, and colour coat will. If we do end up compounding the colour coat, it's not too much of an issue. It means the whole door needs redoing anyway. But if it's clear, then that means all this stuff should come off. So, as you might be able to tell, the residue from there doesn't actually look coloured. It looks like it's the colour of the car. I'm going to check my towel here, just make sure it's not... No, that's definitely not blue residue, which means that is clear coat, which means we might just be able to save this door. Now, if it is glue, I have a secret weapon for getting it off. That is tar remover. So this is glue and tar remover. Removes any kind of adhesive. So we'll get some on a towel, we'll give this all a wipe, and we'll see if we can get most of it to go away. So unfortunately, despite leaving that to dwell for a couple of minutes, it's had very little effect on the door. Now, it may mean that it's not glue, and my assumptions have been incorrect, so the other thing it could be is a second layer of clear coat, and that someone's tried to repair this door and they've added another layer of clear coat, tried to sand it back, and then consequently done a terrible job. So, you noticed I have the compound out. Just go over it with that and we'll see what difference we can make. So unfortunately, compounding on a large scale really didn't work on that gummy stuff. I don't really know what it is at the moment. I almost want to hit it with a heat gun, see if it starts coming off with that. But over here, you can see a little spot of the paint which has started to recover. So what I've done here is I've scraped off the this weird coating as best I can with the old fingernails. Paint underneath isn't scoring, so I know it's still not base coat, still not colour coat. But you can see after hitting this area with some compound, it's actually started to come back alive. It's as good as the rest of the paint. So it's going to be a lot of work, but I think I really need to work out something to like mass remove this gunk, and then hopefully there's a good door underneath. So as you can see, I've managed to do a little bit more up here, but that seriously is enough. I need to work out a better way. It's not fast, it's not efficient, and still a lot of damage left in that clear coat there, so I think that definitely needs a wet sand after all this is done. So that patch of whatever it is on the driver's side door of the NX has been cleared off. And what we're going to do now is observe it. Because you see, if we have removed the clear coat and my test didn't quite work, then what we're going to see going forwards is that area will start to decompose really rapidly. If that is the case, it's actually not too much of an issue because it means the whole door needed to be painted anyway. But we're going to keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll know where to go forwards with that door. In addition to that, I've been on a bit of a spending spree with my MR2, and my bank account is missing a large amount of numbers in it now, because ever since I've owned it, the suspension in it has been very, very tired. I'm pretty sure none of it's been replaced since it was originally manufactured back in the early 90s. So I now have new ball joints all around, new bushes all around, new toe arms. It's going to be so much better once all that's on. But the tyres were also a bit shoddy on it as well, so there's a stack of those, and yes, it set me back some considerable money to get a new set of Toyo proxies for it. But hopefully going forwards, that's going to be in a much better position. However, despite acquiring all these parts, I don't really want to fit them on my driveway. I'd quite like to use the lift in the shed for that. And that kind of brings us on to the elephant in the room, which is, why are you still not back up there? Well, as some of us live with vulnerable people, we're still trying to maintain our distance and keep everyone safe at the moment. Hopefully by this time next month, things will have eased up a bit and we'll be able to get back up there and see what still runs in the shed, because most of it didn't run 3 months ago, so I can only imagine what time's done to it all now. So that wraps up this What's Broken Now. I have actually had a little secret project on the side, which, if all goes according to plan, you're going to get to see very, very soon. So if you don't want to miss that, hit the subscribe button down below. Leave us a like and a comment if you've enjoyed, and if you want to chat to us a bit more, we've always got our Discord server down there. If you want to support us, there's a Patreon link as well, so check the description, and hope to see you next time. Now I'm going to get out of this car before someone thinks it's mine. Yeah, not in a million years.